Why Colombia? You are about to discover a country where incredible landscapes hide great investment opportunities. Welcome to the second season of Why Colombia, the podcast where investors will tell you how Colombia's beauty drives businesses. Auxis is a consulting and outsourcing firm specializing in shared services strategy, combining the roles of BPO provider and advisor. With over 25 years in Colombia, Auxis has helped position the country as a hub for shared services. In 2021, it opened its global delivery center, expanding in finance and accounting, IT and software development, HR, customer service, and intelligent automation. From its hub in Barranquilla and operations in Bogotá, Medellín, and 16 other cities, Auxis leverages Colombia's third largest workforce in Latin America. Skilled, English-proficient, and cost-effective. With strong customer service culture, top universities, and modern infrastructure, Colombia drives Auxis' global strategy.
Hello, everyone. I am Valentina Tamayo, investment representative for ProColombia in the US. Welcome today to Why Colombia. Today, we are joined by Fabiana Corredor from Auxis, a company with over 25 years of experience in nearshoring, digital information, and business process outsourcing. Auxis expanded into Colombia in 2021, reinforcing the country's role as a key nearshoring hub for US companies. As Vice President of Marketing, Fabiana leads Auxis' growth and lead generation strategies with a focus on the North America market. Fabiana, welcome today. It's great to have you here.
Hi, Valian. Thank you so much for having me. Super excited about the conversation today.
Perfect. So we're going to start and we want to ask you, Auxis has been a key player in business transformation for over 2 decades. Can you give us a quick overview of the company's core services and how you support U.S. businesses?
Yeah, sure. So basically, Auxis, as you mentioned, has been around for almost 30 years, and our focus has always been on helping executives in the US modernize and optimize their business operations across multiple departments. Traditionally, finance and accounting and IT has been our core focus areas, but in the last few years, we have also expanded our services to include modernization and transformation in other functions such as human resources, customer service, supply chain, and a few others. So that's kind of like everything that encompasses business operations. And we do that through a combination of process improvement, automation, and consulting services, but also with shared services and outsourcing. And as we're going to be discussing, we have always been considered a pioneer in setting the value of nearshoring from Latin America for U.S. companies as an alternative to traditional Asia-based models from India and the Philippines. So yeah, we have been working with Latin America for many, many years. Since our founders came from PepsiCo and did work for Pepsi Latin America in the early 90s.
Perfect. So based on this information, it's clear that Auxis recognized Colombia's potential as a nearshoring hub and expanded its operations there a few years ago. What drove this decision? How does Auxis view Colombia's role in the nearshoring landscape today? And also, what factors make it strong? Colombia as a strong destination for the U.S. companies.
Yeah, so it's very funny because our background with Colombia goes much back than 2021 because our co-founder Alvaro, he's from Colombia, from Caramanga, and the head of our IT services, Jose Alvarez, is from Barranquilla. And as I mentioned, we have been working with Colombia for many, many years since PepsiCo, and then helping many other customers set up captive shared services operations in Colombia. So we have been kind of following the market for many, many years. And in 2010, when we decided to include outsourcing to our services in addition to consulting, even if we looked at Colombia, we felt that Colombia back in 2010 wasn't necessarily ready yet from many perspectives to be our first operation. And that's why we went into Costa Rica in 2010. But throughout the years, as you know, everyone has been experiencing, Colombia, especially in the last 5 to 10 years, has completely improved the maturity of the services sector from the incentives for companies to set up operations in the country, the openness of the government and the education system to work and attract new investment, the efforts that they have been making from an education perspective, and also, from a bilingual perspective in terms of making English a big priority. I feel a lot of multinational companies are starting going into Colombia, and, the infrastructure and all of the ecosystem was just set up for us to say, hey, our second main location finally is Colombia. We really wanted to make it in Colombia work for so long. But I would say definitely the key drivers that drove that decision was the quality of the talent and the scale of the talent, because at the end, Colombia is the third largest market in Latin America from a population perspective after Brazil and Mexico.
Yeah.
And also the labor cost, it's very, very attractive in comparison to other markets, and of course in comparison to the US.
Fabian, based on your operations in Colombia, what would you say there are some of the most common challenges companies faced when outsourcing or nearshoring, and how does Auxis help them to navigate in these challenges?
Yeah, so I guess that's a very interesting question, because I think that the typical challenges and mistakes that we see companies do are not specific to the location of Colombia, but I think in general about setting up operations in any country. And I think that one of the biggest mistakes that we see is when they embark in this journey, sometimes they rush too fast into implementation without having necessarily like a clear vision and strategy of what they're truly looking to accomplish and why they're looking to accomplish. Okay, based on exactly their scope and scale of what they're trying to achieve, how fast they're looking to move, how fast they're looking to get payback and ROI. A lot of these elements drive the way in which you should go about leveraging nearshore. And I think that's one of the key mistakes that we see, and that's really where we help companies navigate their journey, is really making sure that they have a very strong vision and plan of what they're trying to do, and then go from there. I think, one of the key things that we see a lot is the whole decision about whether you should go and open your own operation or whether you should go through an outsourcing provider. I think a lot of companies underestimate the effort of setting up your own captive shared services. And typically, when you are a very North America focused type of company, you don't really have working or operating Latin America for a while, or you're not necessarily looking to set up a really big operation, and you may be looking to set up something with 20 people, 50 people, or even less than 100 people. And sometimes the one-time investment of really going on your own and building your office and creating all of the support from an HR and technology perspective, it's just a lot of spending, and that takes effort and expertise. So I think that's really one of the areas that we do a lot of advice is when should you maybe try to go through an outsourcing partner like ourselves, and when you should really try to go and open your own operation, which is also something that we can help do as well.
Excellent, Fabiana. Well, thank you for those insights. From your experience, what industries in Colombia present the biggest opportunities for collaboration with Auxis?
Yeah, so it's interesting because that's also, I feel, one of the beauties of Colombia, that compared to maybe other smaller markets in Latin America, like for example even the Caribbean or Central America, some of the countries, Colombia, its talent and its scale allows you to really open it up to do from very transactional low level work like customer service and call center, yeah, to much higher sophisticated type of work, including high-end finance and accounting, HR, a lot of automation and software development and data analytics and other parts of IT engineering and cloud and security. So Colombia can really be leveraged across all of the spectrum. And when it comes to industries, it's also really interesting because when you look at all of the companies that are in Colombia right now, and also, from the clients that we're supporting, it's really broad, right? It's manufacturing, CPG, retail. Those have always been core industries for us that continue to grow. But other areas such as financial services and healthcare that tended in the past to be very regulated industries that wouldn't do anything outside of the US, we're also starting to see a lot of interesting move in those industries as well. Hospitality, restaurants, to be honest, we see opportunities across the board.
And based on that information you already gave me, given your expertise in digital marketing and business strategy, how would you see innovation shaping the future of business between US and Colombia?
Yeah, so I think innovation at the end, it's at the core of all of the services industries, regardless if it's Colombia, Latin America, any part of the globe. But one of the things that I would say is a lot of U.S. executives, when they think about nearshoring, they think they're mainly doing it because they're gonna get a lower cost and they're gonna get access to people. But they sometimes forget that the true bypass benefit that they end up getting is talent with a very strong continuous improvement mindset and innovation mindset, right? And I think that For example, in the case of Auxis, we have a very strong digital transformation and automation practice. A lot of the talent that it focused on that area, like for example, everything that we're doing from a UI path automation development perspective, a lot of those resources are in Colombia. So I would say definitely innovation is at the core, and especially Latin America and Colombia, since we're not the cheapest countries in the globe and we need to compete to India and the Philippines that are going to continue having the lowest cost per head. That's where Latin America succeeds. It's on the innovation mindset. And not just because of the people, but just by the natural, location in which we are and the ability to collaborate in real time with the US and just have a stronger communication and collaboration and cultural affinity. I think those are all factors that help with the innovation agenda.
Perfect. Fabiana, based on the trajectory of Auxis in Colombia, what would you say is the biggest advantage of nearshoring to Colombia?
It's people.
Okay. Which Colombian city do you see as the most promising for business expansion?
It's hard to choose. I think you still have a lot of untapped opportunities across different cities. Like, for example, in the case of Auxis, we're expanding into three main cities: Barranquilla, Bogotá, and Medellín. And each city has its role depending on their skills and um, their advantages. Like, for example, Barranquilla has been a great hub for us for our customer service desk roles, some of our accounts payable, collections and account receivable roles, engineering. That's been really helpful and great. But when we're trying to get more senior accountants, that have more of the record to report, multinational shared services accounting experience, yes, Bogota has been great for us. And then when it comes to software development and automation, Medellin has also been great for us. And that doesn't mean that we're necessarily separating them exactly like that, but in general, you can see like a trend of how we tap into each market. And definitely we're a hybrid company, so a lot of our employees are working in our both in office or remote environments. And I do see ourselves in the next few years also even continuing to expanding to lower tier cities like Cali and Bucaramanga. So definitely a lot of opportunities.
Excellent. In one word, how would you describe Colombia as a nearshoring hub?
I would say opportunity. I did the Colombia is like the Costa Rica of 10 to 15 years ago.
Yes. What's one piece of advice for U.S. companies looking to expand into Colombia?
Yeah, I think we covered that a little bit, but I would definitely say start with the end goal in mind and try to surround yourselves with experts that have done that before. Not try to do everything on your own because you're gonna end up going slower. And the best thing is to really surround yourselves with the right advisors, including Pro Colombia and all of the support that you guys do. Invest in Bogota, Pro Barranquilla, local lawyers, and then companies like ourselves to help you navigate with success.
Excellent. Well, Fabiana, before we wrap up, in one sentence, how would you describe the future of U.S. Colombia business collaboration?
Yeah, I think the future is bright. Um, there's a lot of opportunities. I think that, hopefully Colombia continues investing in their brand awareness in the country. I think a lot of US executives are really seeing the value and the opportunity of working with Colombia, but I do think there's still a lot of awareness to do in the US. So hopefully Colombia continues putting the money in that investment.
Perfect. Well, Fabiana, thank you so much for coming today and for sharing your insights. It's clear that Colombia is a key player in the nearshoring landscape, and it's exciting to see how Auxis is contributing to growth. Thank you so much to all of our audience, and thank you for joining us today. Until next time.